Alright guys, I want to show y'all how I keep my saws sharp and running and all. We own a little small tree business and we run these saws every day. They make us a lot of money, so we need to keep them sharp. That way we're not fighting with them and killing ourselves trying to get things cut. So there's a few different things you're going to need. You know, these smaller chainsaws, they use a small file. This is what I call my medium saw. That's a little 261. It uses a different size file. And then I've got my 500 on the end, which, you know, that's going to be a different size file. So having the right file is very important if you want to keep these sharp. So alright, my 500 is pretty dull. I dulled it the other day cutting down a dead stump, so that's going to be the one we're going to work on right there. There's going to be a few things you got to have. I definitely recommend gloves. I know a lot of people sharpen them without gloves. I've done it myself, and I've also, you get that file, it'll slip sometimes, and you know that tooth it'll tear a chunk out of your knuckle or tip of your finger or something. So gloves, some kind of glasses. I'm gonna wear my sunglasses just because I always wear them. You're gonna need the right size file. That's a what is this one right here? That's a 7/32 file. And if your chain's loose, you need to go ahead and tighten up your chain because you'll be fighting with it if you don't. All right, I'm gonna try and zoom in on a couple of these teeth right here. That way you can kind of see what we're trying to get off. You know, if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know how much you need to sharpen it. So let's see if we can get in here and look at this. Alright, there we go. Let's want the focus there. So basically all this at the end right there, you see where that black spot is? Right there, all that's got to come out to get this tooth back sharp. Same way over here. You can see the tip's been nicked right there. Alright, so we're gonna file that back till all that right there is out of there. So I'm having a hard time focusing right here, so let me just get set up and I'll show you. Alright, I've got a couple of logs right here in this pile. This saw is still dull. I'm just going to run it a few times and kind of let you see how it's cutting and how bad it's cutting. So let's try to get that going. So one thing I want to show you right here, when you go to crank this saw, there's a lot of people that, you know, you can take and pull it this way and you're pulling against that cover. You need to learn to crank your saw this way. This is the way I like to do it. You're pulling away from this cover right here, and I have seen these covers just snap off right there. So just learn to start it this way right here, and it'll save you in the long run. Alright guys, so when I'm out on a job site and we have to sharpen a chain, which is pretty regular, you know, we do residential tree removal, and you know, most of your trees around houses, a lot of times they're going to have nails in them. It's always about head high. People hang a bird feeder or whatever, you're going to find nails. So they sell a lot of different things that you can use. They've got little stump vices that you can use. I've tried those. I don't really like them. You can mount a vise if you've got a flatbed truck or something, you know, you can mount a vise. My favorite way to do this is simple. You know, if I'm on a job, most of the time my pickup truck's going to be out there. Either this one, I've got another little small one, I'm going to have it out there. So what I like to do is I'll actually take my saw and I'll just wedge it in the corner of my truck right there in the truck bed. And that's going to keep it from moving around. All right, we're going to get started right here. So like I said, I'm going to take it, I'm going to hold it right here, and we're going to start. All right, so when I get my file put in right here, like I said, we're trying to knock those burrs off of there and get this back. So when I get my file in there, I can tell by the way my file's sitting if I need to go a little bit deeper or if it's, you know, deep enough. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to, you know, these chains right here, they've got a little guide on there as far as your angle. So we're gonna kind of eyeball that right there, and we're just gonna put a little pressure on it right there. Keep that angle. Keep your file straight. Now these files only cut one way, so when you pull it back out, it's not cutting. but I can tell by the way that my file's sitting I need to go a little deeper. So what I'm gonna do, I will actually take my file and turn it down into the back of this and just knock that out a little bit. You don't want to do that much. All right, now we can take it and really get in there. And there it is. That tooth right there is sharp. So what you would want to do, I don't do this in the field. If you hit a rock or something, you would go through and you'd look at every tooth right here. And if this one is, you know, if this side's worse, you would actually want to start over there, get those filed back, and then you would want this other side to match that. If you don't get these teeth pretty close, they're going to cut crooked. You're going to have a fit with that. So we're going to keep working through a few of these right here. Just trying to figure out what it feels like with my file right there. I'm going to wipe it off, and we're just going to keep looking at that tooth. If I got to knock a little out of the back, I will. Alright, now that tooth is sharp. Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to go through and do this on this whole side, and then I'll actually take my saw, I'll prop it up over there, and I'll do the other side. Once I get this sharpened, I'll come back in and we'll take a look at it and see what we've got. Alright, we're going to do the same thing on this side right here. We're going to wedge it in the corner of the truck bed right here. I mean, that's the easiest way to hold your saw. You know, if you use them little tree vices, you're bent over, you know, you're just fighting with the saw the whole time. This way right here, you've already got a workbench right here. Lock it in the corner. You can use your arm right here, and it just holds the saw still, and it makes it a lot easier to get these teeth where you want them. If your saw is moving around and bouncing around the whole time, you won't ever get it right. So, all right, I've got both sides sharpened. You want to try to keep these as close as you can on each side. Like I said, I'm eyeballing them. I'm not pulling anything out and measuring them. I get them close. If you don't get them close, your saw's going to cut crooked and you're going to hate it. So one thing I want to talk about right quick is your rakers. Some people call them that. I call them drags. So let's look at that right there. So, all right, if this part right here sticks up higher than this part, your saw isn't going to cut good. Now, if you come in here and you file these down too low, your saw is going to grab and you're going to fight with it the whole time. So I can kind of, you know, what I'll do, I might hit these once or twice, and then I might sharpen my saw once or twice before I hit them again, but I just go based on the feel. If I sharpen the saw and I go over and cut into a log and I know the saw is sharp and it's not cutting good, I'll come back in and I'll knock these down a little bit. They actually make a guide for these too. I don't use any of that stuff. So if you're at home and you're trying to sharpen your saw and it's not cutting good, take a flat file, hold it flat, knock these down a little bit. You know, 1 or 2 licks. Don't go crazy, and you want to hold the same pressure on every one of them. Just go through, you know, take your flat file, take a little off the top. Like I said, don't go too deep, or you'll just be hating life trying to fight with it. So let's go over here and cut with it and see what it looks like now. All right, I showed you what it looked like when it was dull, so let me show you, now that I've got it sharpened up right here, what it should look like. All right, you can see right there, there's no more burrs left on those teeth right there. So you get that angle right, go ahead and knock all those things off, and you'll be back in business. So it's not hard. It does take some time and some practice, but you'll get it figured out. All right, guys, we got it sharpened up. We're about to get back in here and cut a little bit. Again, when you go to crank your saw, don't crank it this way. If that cord catches, you can rip that side cover completely off, and those things are too expensive. Get in the habit of pulling the cord back this way. You know, it pulls it away from you right there. So let's cut a little bit of this up and see what it looks like. I hope that can help some of y'all out. I know it's kind of complicated trying to see how to sharpen a chainsaw on a phone. It kept wanting to get blurry when I tried to zoom in on the teeth and all that stuff. So I am going to be posting some tree removal videos and how to rig, different things that we do. My youngest boy, he's real big into hunting with me and all, so come fall we're going to be sharing some of his hunting videos and things like that. So if you guys have any questions, you can let me know. Like I said, I know there's a million different ways to do it. I'm sure there's going to be, you know, people on there that don't agree with the way I sharpen a saw and all that, and that's okay. Like I said, I make a living with mine. I don't just post YouTube videos trying to sharpen saws. I use these saws every single day, and that's how I pay bills. So if y'all have any questions, just let me know, and thanks for watching.